You are aware, we have started this web series to bring to the knowledge of the listeners the whole of the Constitution, article by article, and referring to their amendment, especially those which are in conflict, which are misunderstood, misused, and misapplied, in my opinion. Today's topic is all about reservations in India. Right from 1927, the then Madras government was implementing reservations in admissions to educational institutions by virtue of a communal GO which prescribed a quota for almost all communities in that state. After advent of the constitution in 1950, in Madras state, one Brahmin girl, a top performing Brahmin girl, namely Champakam Dorairajan, was denied admission into a medical college on the ground that the quota allotted to Brahmins was over. She approached the Madras High Court with a writ petition. She questioned how she could be denied admission into a medical college based only on her caste. The Honorable Madras High Court concurred with her argument and rescinded the GO. The state of Madras went in appeal to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court too in 1951 confirmed that reservations for admission into educational institutions cannot be provided or denied on the basis of caste. So the belief that Ambedkar has provided reservations to scheduled castes is a myth. When Supreme Court gave this decision, it was Jawaharlal Nehru who introduced the first amendment to the constitution and added clause 4 into article 15 and clause 4 into article 16. Clause 4 of article 15 reads that if the government does anything to promote the interest of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, educationally backward classes and economically backward classes, it shall not militate against equality enshrined in the Constitution. Please remember, article 15 is about status, and hence its amendment was only to the extent of providing any benefits or advancement of interests of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, educationally backward and economically backward classes. Advancement of their interests is not against equality. This does not relate to employment. Employment is the subject matter of Article 16. Of course, clause 4 was added to Article 16 also, saying that nothing in this article shall prevent the state from providing reservations in post to caste, to communities which in the opinion of the state are not adequately represented in government employment. So the criteria to give reservation under Article 16(4) is that that community should be not adequately represented in government employment. So many contradictory and conflicting issues are there in it. First of all, first amendment to Constitution of 1951 was unconstitutional because Article 368 of the Constitution gave power to amend the Constitution under Article 368 to the Parliament. Constitution was framed by the Constituent Assembly, whereas its amending power was given to the Parliament. The first Parliament was formed in 1952 after the first general elections of 1952. As such, the Constituent Assembly is not authorized to make constitutional amendments. And moreover, what was the necessity to introduce this first amendment in 1951 while within a few months a popular parliament is going to be established? This was an unnecessary affair and also an unconstitutional affair. Better it should have been left to the elected members of the first parliament in 1952. And another fallacy is that it says that whichever community is not adequately represented in government employment. This is a blunder. Community should not be a basis for giving benefits to individual. The individual condition should be the basis to provide benefits to that individual. If a beggar comes to you with hunger, can you say that your community is well developed? It has nothing to do with. Are there any social obligations cast on any community to share their resources with all their community members? As such, individual suffering cannot be addressed by referring to community development. So the very first amendment was unconstitutional, illegal, and in way a barbaric. When an individual is suffering, you cannot say that your community is thereby The then leadership has sown seeds for social conflicts in the name of castes, which is continuing till date. Please understand the present form of reservation initiated by Dr. Jawaharlal Nehru through First Amendment. I say it rather first distortion of the Constitution, but not by dint of the Constitution compiled by Dr. Ambedkar. And people argue, so many people I have heard on media that Ambedkar has written the Constitution and some other will contradict. He has not written, that M.N. Rao has written. But does it have any significance? Who is the document writer? Unless it is approved by the Constituent Assembly consisting of 299 members, shall it be a constitution? So it is not the question who wrote the Constitution. So we should all be thankful to the Constituent Assembly. Under Indian Constitution, no doubt there are reservations to scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in legislatures under Article 330 and 332. 330 is regarding reservations in Parliament and 332 is regarding reservations in state legislature. Article 334 limited these reservations for 20 years from 1950, that is up to 1970. Whereas the successive governments are going on extending the reservations each time by 10 years. I heard many uneducated people professing that reservations were kept in the Constitution for 10 years only. They were being extended each time. But this is a misnomer, I tell you. Just now I explained there were no reservations at all. In the Constitution, nobody should have any objection for the reservations to continue forever as long as India exists. Because whoever are in need, they have to be. The only fallacy in that first constitutional amendment was giving benefits based on community. You cannot give benefits to individuals based on his community. That was the first policy and distortion and a vote bank politics. There is another angle to that. Dr. Ambedkar, though a barrister and chairman of the drafting committee of the Constitution, a doyen of law, he registered his political party in 1951 under the Representation of the People Act 1951 under the name and style of Scheduled Caste Federation of India and contested throughout the country. So he was a political nemesis to Congress, the Communists, Hindu Mahasabha, and to all other political parties in India. He was a political rival. When Ambedkar started his political party in the name of Scheduled Caste Federation, Nehru was a shrewd politician. He immediately brought the First Amendment to the Constitution. So his narrative, his description covered about 90% of Indian population. While narrative of Dr. Ambedkar, namely Scheduled Castes, covered hardly 10 to 15% of the population. The whole population felt that Nehru was more democratic, more generous, more humanitarian. So the entire country went behind Jawaharlal Nehru and the Congress party won the elections with 45% of polled and valid votes but cornered 75% of the parliament seats. Whereas Ambedkar's party was totally routed out in the elections. That party gained just 2.38% of polled and valid votes and he himself lost. It means that even scheduled caste people did not vote to party of Dr. Ambedkar. If they voted, that party would have not got only 2.38. It would have got at least 10%. So the Dalit card carried by Dr. Ambedkar was a political slogan because he registered his political party with that name. And I appreciate scheduled caste communities in this country for not approving the action of Dr. Ambedkar in naming a political party after their caste name. It is also political acumen how scheduled tribes will vote to that party, how backward classes, how other communities would vote. That was a political blunder committed by Ambedkar, which was also not approved scheduled caste communities in India. So the entire saga of reservations, whether credit or discredit, should go to the Congress party and not anybody else, and not even to the Constitution. Through introduction of class 4A, 5, SCs and STs would get the same priority even in promotions also. This again also is a fallacy. Employment may be livelihood, but promotion is not a livelihood and is not justified. Juniors will become seniors over his seniors. This kind of caste reservations brought social strife in India. In my opinion, scheduled castes, scheduled tribes have not been benefited with the reservation policy. Giving of employment to one person in 10 lakh people is not the way, is not the method of developing that community. Instead, whole of them must have been assisted in providing financial and educational assistance so that they could have come up in life. They could compete with others in life. As such, only individuals may be backward. They have to be helped. Indian governments have committed this blunder of discriminating people on caste, community, creed, region, religion, language, and sex. This discrimination is accentuated by formulating Scheduled Caste, Scheduled Tribes Atrocities Act, whereby they are totally secluded from the society. Other communities are not prepared to mingle with them, to do business with them, to interact with them socially. As a result, these scheduled caste people are relegated again to their SC colonies. It is the plan of the governments, plan of the rulers to divide and rule the people. The theory that castes are formed according to their traits as advanced by communists is utterly wrong. Castes form because of political wars, gaining power. The caste which gains power will treat itself as superior to other castes. This way, several lakhs of time, the geographies of various countries, kingdoms must have been merged and demerged due to wars and aggressions, as a result of which several groups will be formed. That is how the today's backward classes have been formed. But once upon a time, they were the rulers. Scheduled castes were rulers, scheduled tribes were rulers. And today's backward classes, mostly they who ruled this country, not anybody else. It was they who constructed all the temples in India. It is their culture, their land. All other castes have formed only dividing from the main group whom we are treating as scheduled castes and backward classes. In coming to reservations, in politics, I told you under Article 330 and 332, there were reservations in legislatures for scheduled castes. In local bodies, there were no reservations under the Indian Constitution until P.V. Narasimha Rao brought 73 and 74th constitutional amendments in 1993 to come into effect from 1994. He included those amendments in Article 243D and 243T. D is about reservations to scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in local bodies, namely Gram Panchayats, and 243T is about reservations in municipalities. The same articles also say that out of the reservations, 1/3 shall go to women. So it was P.V. Narasimha Rao who gave reservations to scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and women in 1994. Unfortunately, it appears, as I observe on the social media, these agitators do not remember either Nehru, the Congress party, or the P.V. Narasimha Rao. The Britishers who ruled for 200 years this country, they have not done anything for advancement of interests of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, or for that matter, any other community. Nor did the Mughals who ruled this country for about 800 years, did not do anything for social justice to these oppressed classes. It is only the parliament which was established in 1952 that brought social reforms and giving benefits to the downtrodden communities, though in a lopsided way and with a view to create vote banks for their political parties. So in my opinion, these politicians must be trained in Indian constitution and Indian laws and about social justice, etc., whatever are the objectives of this constitution: justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, individual dignity, unity. Should these politicians not understand what they are, at least? Without understanding them, how will they bring them about? Unfortunately, constitutional knowledge, legal knowledge is abysmal. It's totally absent in Indian elite classes. I do not want to name each and every class, but the entire elite class is ignorant of Indian laws and Indian constitution. I told you, reservations cannot be given based on the social, political, economic condition of a stop thinking in terms of caste, start thinking in terms of individual. If you give reservations to scheduled castes in group names, we are seeing one group is jealous about the other group. And especially only the major groups among scheduled castes and scheduled tribes are vying for coveted posts and employment under Indian government. But there are so many marginal communities in that group which do not have any voice. They do not have numerical power, financial power, political power, or they are not much educated. They are living in forests like animals. Who should agitate about them? That means Indian reservation policy is lopsided. It was brought by Nehru, Manmohan Singh, and P.V.Narasimha Rao especially. During the term of these three people only, these reservations in promotions, reservations in filling backlog posts, or reservations in local bodies were brought by these three people and nobody else. They might have done with good intention, but the method in which they brought is unconstitutional and it is a barbaric, a jungle law. You can't do average justice. It should be individual centric but not caste centric. Thank you. Thank you for watching my videos. It is promised to bring to your notice all the articles of this constitution with my way of analysis, and I request you to please subscribe, share and comment on my videos. Question me, criticize me. I will be glad to reply to your worthy comments. Please see that this constitutional message is spread widest and fastest so that social, political and economic changes may accrue in the right direction at the earliest. Thank you.